We're going to start at Brentford though. 5-2, they beat Leeds United. 3 incidents to look at here. The Tony pen, the Somerville pen that didn't get given, and the Mbermo goal. Let's start with the Tony pen. The defending and the attempt to play out at the back, I think, caused their own downfall. You can't blame the officials for that one. That's a penalty.
100% penalty, yep. Sinestra gets himself the wrong side, doesn't he? Goes into the back of him. Definite penalty.
Now, the one that sent the Leeds manager over the edge, Hickey on Somerville, Jesse Marsh goes absolutely crazy afterwards. He's sent off, actually, for coming onto the pitch and having a go at the fourth official and the linesman and the referee and everybody else who'd listened to him. There's been an edge to him, and I mentioned this on the Game Day podcast on Thursday night, that he's stepping over the line, I think. It's a 50-50 decision, yeah. Was there enough evidence to overturn it? The initial foul is outside the box. I think that's probably the best option. Give a free kick there. The tangle, when it goes into the box, is that really enough to go over? That's a subjective decision. It's a tangle of legs. So I think you can go with either decision. Therefore, the VAR is probably not going to get involved.
Yeah, but I think that's a penalty. I can understand Jesse Marsh's frustrations because it's very similar.
But not to that level, I'm afraid.
No, but he obviously thinks there's an injustice, doesn't he? He thinks that there's like a conspiracy going against him. Not him personally, but his team, you know, obviously on the day. So I can understand, because I actually do think that was a penalty. I did think that was worth a VAR look. So, but you can't conduct himself the way that he did.
No.
Because how can he ask his players to keep their discipline when he didn't? And going on the pitch, we don't know why he got sent off. Was he going on the pitch? Is what he said to, I think, was it Keith Stroud, I think was the fourth official.
That's not what you said earlier on. You said the little bloke.
I said I didn't know who the little bloke was. That's what I said. I didn't know who he was, the wee fella. But we should know what he said.
Yeah.
We should know, because if it's frustrating, he's going, that's a penalty. You go, right. If it's more inappropriate than that, I think that they should be allowed to say, well, this is what he called me. Yeah. This is the dissent.
Let's do a couple of the incidents where you actually think the VAR's done quite well on. The 4-2 goal that went to VAR, the Mbermo goal, was the perfect use of technology for me. It wasn't a debatable decision. It was just a bad call from the lino initially, who may have been unsighted, so that's why he didn't flag. He did flag. An offside player cannot be penalised when the ball is last deliberately played by an opponent, and that's what happened here. He was in an offside position, but it was played by a Leeds player. As a result of that, the overall by the VAR worked, the late flag worked, the whole system worked in unison. That is what it is for.
Yes, because the assistant, I can understand why he got it, because it looked like at first that Ivan Toney had got the flick on, and it wasn't. It was Koch who was standing behind him, so he got the flick on. If Toney had flicked it, and Werner would have been offside, but he didn't. So that is VAR working exactly like it should be. But again, Sam, you can understand why the assistant flagged offside. It wasn't a really, really bad decision from the assistant.
And people, what we're trying to do is understand why these decisions have been made and try and just take a little bit of the heat out of them, because some of them aren't as bad as we have been led to believe. Some of them are. Some of them are just mistakes, and that's happened. We'll get to those in just a second. But Michael Oliver, who gave a pen in the Forest game for Nottingham Forest, was told by a VAR to go to the monitor and overturn his decision, or have a look at it. Now, usually, in 99% of the occasions that they're asked to go to the monitor, they usually overturn that decision. They change their mind as a result of being asked to look at the monitor. Now, on this occasion, fair play to him. It was close, but in law, he was right, and he decided to give his penalty. And I think, you know what? Well done.
Yeah, but why is Graham Scott, who's the VAR, why is he getting involved? Because it's supposed to be clear and obvious, and they know.
That wasn't a clear and obvious mistake.
No, and it was Lloyd Kelly. His arms, it made his body bigger, didn't it?
Yeah, it's an unnatural position.
Yeah, he's turned his head. His arms are out. Michael Oliver, and it's because he is an experienced referee.
Yeah, he feels he's able to do that.
Exactly. If that was a younger referee, he'd have probably gone with Graham Scott. But it was quite refreshing to go, no, you're not seeing the same thing as me. And that's sometimes the problem with VAR. You've got two senior referees who've seen exactly the same incident, and both think it's a different decision. Yeah,
and that's when a VAR shouldn't get involved.
No, not at all.
Unless they're 100% sure there's been an error. A couple of decisions in the Spurs game and the Wolves game, but we'll move on because, there was some other bigger incidents that we really need to get to.
But they were both right. The ones in the Spurs games were both correct.
They were both correct. Yes. So well done for getting those.
And the Wolves one, the Shayad one was correct as well.
Yeah, what was Shayad? Was he distracted by someone in the crowd?
I think in the coaching manager, it's called turtleneck. That's what it is.
Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Anthony Taylor the referee. VAR Darren England. Virgil van Dijk challenge on Onana. deemed not serious foul play, but just a reckless challenge. Now, I was at that game. I saw it, and first of all, I thought red card. A couple of replays, I thought red card. Peter Reeves going mad, red card. Charlie Adams says, no, it's not, it's just a yellow. But the officials will argue that it's no worse than Fabian Schär last week at the Wolves game, and that they were told by the representatives of the managers and the players that sort of challenge, they don't think is a red card. Now, contact above the ankle is usually a red card. And there was contact above the ankle, yes. But if you watch it at full speed, most of the contact actually lands on the foot. It's a yellow card for the officials, and consistency with that Schär incident last week. But important to remember that a VAR looking at that doesn't get to choose if it's a red card or it's a yellow card. The guy simply looking at the referee's decision is asking himself, is that yellow card for the tackle clearly and obviously a red card? If he doesn't think that, then he can't upgrade it to a red card or recommend the VAR monitor is used. So I think, look, it's a high tariff yellow card for me, almost what you would call an orange card, so therefore okay to stick with a yellow card. However, had the ref shown a red card, VAR would ask himself, is that red card clearly and obviously wrong? And they wouldn't have said yes to that either, so they wouldn't have overturned it. So, I mean, I would have given a red for it, but I can understand where Darren England is coming from.
Yeah, but I looked at that and I thought it was red because it's what's called, it could be a leg breaker. You know, when you're going over the top, and
which is what Frank Lampard said afterwards.
Yes, and so that's how pros will look at it, and people who played football. And
well, that's not according to the guys.
But that's not the rules
in the refereeing world. They say no. That the game has said that sort of challenge, where most of the contact is on the foot like that, is a yellow card, reckless, not serious foul play. So you're in a no-win situation. Quickly to Aston Villa, Man City. Look, it's no VAR problem here. This is just an on-field referee problem. Simon Hooper and his assistant getting a little bit too whistle happy. Philip Coutinho goal not given because the linesman raised his flag when there was no offside. They should have left it, but the ref blew too early. Therefore, VAR can't intervene. In truth, I think there were too many compartments for this to be a big error. There wasn't an obvious goal-scoring chance when he raised his flag. He put the ball in the net after a deflection with Edison half-hearted, and all the players stopped, and after the whistle had gone. So, look, it's just one of those things, I think. I don't think you can complain too much about that.
Well, I think the assistant has flagged too quickly because they're told to let the attack come to its fruition, aren't they, on that one, because Coutinho wasn't offside, and Simon Hooper blew his whistle too early. So there was two little small mistakes. But what happened was, because of that, the Man City players just switched off, didn't they? They didn't actually, because the whistle went, that's why they switched off. So maybe they can give themselves a little, like a second, 2 seconds more before they actually, one, raise the flag and two, blow the whistle.
And Stephen Gerrard pointed that out a little bit later on as well. Now, off to Newcastle Palace, where the referee was Michael Salisbury and the VAR was Lee Mason. The worst mistake of the weekend, and as we now know, it's been investigated by the Premier League. It's a goal. It is a goal. VAR, Lee Mason should never have got involved in this at all. Why are you pressing your button? Tyreek Mitchell turned the ball into his own net. Referee Michael Salisbury ruled it okay. Then he was alerted to a foul on Joe Willock by Joe Willock on the goalkeeper Vicente Guaita. Newcastle felt the midfielder was himself pushed by Mitchell, and that is what happened. Eddie Howe saying afterwards, I thought it was for a push or a pull on a foul on Joe Willock in the build-up to the ball coming in. Joe's momentum is fixed at that point from his opponent, then it carries him into the goalkeeper because he was pushed. But without the push, there's no way that Joe would have gone in with that force. If anything, it's a penalty if it's not a goal, so I was surprised with the outcome. What's your view?
It was just a collision. Even if Willock isn't pushed, he's allowed to go for the ball. He's allowed, when the ball's in the air, you know, it comes in, he's allowed to go for it. Guaita's at full stretch, so he makes a bad decision. And as Eddie Howe said there, it's Mitchell who then puts his arm onto Willock and pushes him off balance. It's not a real heavy, but he pushes off balance. So then, because he's off balance, his momentum takes him to Guaita. As you said there, why Lee Mason is getting involved in that, I have absolutely no idea. And that's what infuriates fans and people who watch football, because they said, Sam, that they weren't going to get involved, didn't they? They said they weren't going to get involved unless it was clear and obvious. That is, and worst ways out, if Lee Mason's going to get involved, then that's a penalty on Willock.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, it's just a goal.
It's a goal, yes.
I think the VAR was focusing on the attacker rather than looking at the impact of the defender.
They're focused on the goalkeeper. The
Well,
goalkeeper get away with absolute murder.
I
Sam.
mean, but he's looking at Willock and the goalkeeper.
Yes.
He's not looking at what happens behind him.
But even
sometimes that happens. It's tunnel vision. It's a big error. And Newcastle fans can point to a lot of decisions that have been in the margins over the last few weeks that have gone against them. But there's no disputing this. It is a goal. That is it.
But I don't even think it's a foul, even without the push. Because Willock is allowed to go for the ball. It's a contact sport. You're going to get collisions. You know, if the goalkeeper's coming for it, the forward's going for it. It was a 50-50 challenge, wasn't it?
Speaking of which, Chelsea 2, West Ham 1, but
Stop
it
laughing.
shouldn't have been. Referee Andy Madley, VAR Jared Gillett. Maxwell Cornet's goal ruled out at the end for a foul on the goalkeeper. Firstly, what a ridiculous header from Reece James. Why on earth is he heading it in that direction? Mendy comes out, goes down, spills the ball. Bowen collides with him. The word collides is an exaggeration. They come together. I don't think it's a foul. What I don't get is why the VAR is getting involved. Andy Madley has given the goal. The on-field referee, and a lot of this is a theme of the day really, the on-field referee is making the right decision. The VAR is then overturning what is not a clear and obvious error. That is something that should be left on the field with the referee who called it right. The argument from the other side would be that if they had allowed the goal, with Mendy down injured, the Ferrari would have been just as vocal, i.e. damned if you give it, damned if you don't. But on this occasion, VAR do not get involved.
Do you know what the worry is, Sam? I mean, the whole thing has been a worry this weekend with VAR, and it's not VAR, it's the incompetence of the people that are using the VAR. Jared Gillett was brought over from Australia because he was a VAR expert. That was the reason he brought over at first, wasn't he? To go to Stockley Park. So I think with Andy Madley as well, these referees have got to start growing a pair, like Michael Oliver, and going and look at that and going, no, what I saw in real time is exactly what I've seen when I'm looking at it again. Because you said there, Mendy comes out as an Alan Parry. It's this bad goalkeeping base, isn't it? Because he palms it back out. And Jarrod Bowen actually does well because all players and footballers will tell you, he puts his feet down. He knows he's going to collide. And a lot of players will be a bit naughty and put, you know, when you go studs up. And he didn't. He actually thought, right, I'm going to collide. I'm going to try and not injure him as much as what maybe I could. And then Cornet has a brilliant finish. So they're going to have a review, aren't they? Is it tomorrow, the PG, MOL and like the Premier League?
Well,
so,
I mean,
well, they can look at it and just go...
It's a little bit too early to turn around and sort of like start ripping up the textbook and starting again. But, like, I mean, those decisions were so impactful, those two decisions, the Newcastle one and the Chelsea one, that I mean, there had to be some response, didn't there?
Sam, but you know what is the most frustrating thing? You watch your football, we all have our football and watch it. The referee's decision, right, he has to make it in an instant. Now, if he gets that wrong in an instant and you see it after, well, I can understand. You know, when we've said before on a couple of incidents, I can understand, like the Mbeumo. I can understand why the linesman gave offside, right? You get that. What compounds this is, someone is looking at it on a screen, on the TV like we're looking at, and all the fans are looking at it thinking, I'm not being funny, mate, are you seeing the same thing here? You're seeing something that isn't there.
Yeah.
That is the double anger. And that's what VAR was bought. And how long have we had VAR for? Is this the third or fourth season now?
You're right, I don't know, I can't remember.
Right, well, I know, right. We're still nowhere near as where it should be. You can have teething problems. You go, OK, teething problems.
Yeah, but teething problems usually go away after about 6 months,
exactly.
Not 4 years.
The Sunday Session. High-octane football fan fuel. Sunday afternoons from 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.